Welcome back. You're watching World News and I'm your host, Klaudia Czerwińska. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is in Warsaw to meet with Polish officials amid an evolving security landscape in Ukraine and the region. Our reporter Sonia Gata-Biszczan is on the ground and following the unfolding meetings. So Sonia, what can we expect from this visit and what can you tell us about the details?
Hello, Claudia. Well, as we are speaking, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte is likely wrapping up his meeting with the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk here at the Prime Minister's Chancellery in Warsaw. They are expected to deliver a joint press statement at or shortly after 12 p.m. noon. So really, any minute we should have more information about what exactly they discussed. We have information that the press statement should focus on European and global security policy issues. But we also know that the meeting likely focused on a number of topics, including addressing the Russian threat in general and the situation in Ukraine, the peace negotiations, as well as the preparations for the June NATO summit to take place in The Hague. Just as a reminder, this meeting today, or the visit today, is taking place against the backdrop of the recent peace negotiations in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh and Jeddah, where the U.S. delegation met with Ukrainian and Russian delegations respectively. Later in the day at 1 p.m., Rutte is expected to meet with the Polish President, Andrzej Duda, at the Presidential Palace. And in the afternoon, he is expected to deliver a lecture titled Stronger NATO Commitment to Euro-Atlantic Security. This is Rutte's second visit to Poland in his capacity as the NATO Secretary General, which he took over in October last year. And we will keep you updated about the developments of this visit, including the press conference, which is really coming any minute. Back to you.
Thank you so much. That was Sonia Gata-Biszczan reporting from the Prime Minister's Chancellery in Warsaw. The government in Warsaw has adopted a document outlining Poland's foreign policy priorities. Details of the plan will be presented by the Polish foreign minister at an upcoming annual parliamentary address.
Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has emphasized the importance of diplomacy in a dynamically changing international environment and said that the foreign minister's address will touch upon the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine and the recent shift in transatlantic alliances. The priorities of Warsaw's foreign policy will be unveiled during Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski's address to the Polish Parliament in April.
A lot has changed on the geopolitical map. The policy of the European Union has also changed a lot. This is quite a challenge, also for our diplomatic service. It's been a while since the last time I've believed so strongly that foreign policy, diplomacy, and the skills of people involved in charting our foreign policy are once again playing a key role. I am very glad that here in Poland, we're all aware that our country is pursuing a very effective foreign policy, and our interests are well defined.
Overnight, the Russian army attacked Volodymyr Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih. The drone strike resulted in several fires and infrastructure damage, but no casualties. At least 15 explosions have been reported in Kryvyi Rih by Kryvyi Rih residents. The head of the Dnipropetrovsk military administration, Serhiy Lysak, said the Ukrainian air defenses managed to down 12 UAVs over the region. Fires that broke out in the aftermath of the attack were quickly extinguished by firefighters. Apart from Zelensky's hometown itself, the city of Nikopol and the villages of Marachnets were hit with the strike, damaging 2 residential buildings and 1 car. The Russian army has also attacked the Sumy region as well as communities in the Donetsk, Kharkiv and Zaporizhia regions. Overall, last night, some 117 Russian drones invaded Ukrainian airspace. So far, there are no reports of casualties. U.S. President Donald Trump said that Russia may be dragging its feet on a peace deal. Speaking from the Roosevelt Room of the White House on Tuesday, Trump told a Newsmax reporter that while it's uncertain, Russia could be hesitant to reach a peace agreement with Ukraine despite likely wanting an end to the war. The president said that both Russia and President Zelenskyy are likely interested in bringing the fighting to a close. But Trump implied that Russia could be stalling and compared it to his own experience using hesitation as a negotiation tactic. Trump has also highlighted the human cost of the war, pointing out that both sides are losing about 2,500 soldiers weekly.
The subcommittee on DOGE is going to review.
The government of Denmark has announced it will expedite drafting women into the armed forces. The updated timeline now sees women joining the ranks next year rather than January of 2027, as the original plan envisioned.
In light of the current security situation, the size of the army must be expanded, Danish Minister of Defense Troels Lund Poulsen has said. Women who turn 18 after July 1st, 2025 could be required to take part in a draft lottery to select conscripts for service. The lottery, however, will be held only if there were not enough volunteers to fill the ranks in a given year. Beginning next year, compulsory military service in Denmark will also be extended from 4 to 11 months. The decision to speed up the draft for women was possible due to an agreement in the Danish parliament between the ruling and opposition parties.
Thank you for joining us today.
The new Speaker of the German Bundestag has been elected. Julia Klöckner, a former agriculture minister and member of the Friedrich Merz's CDU party, will be helming the lower house of the German parliament.
Klöckner was elected to her post with 382 votes in favor, 204 votes against, and 31 abstentions. During her inauguration speech, she said she would carry out her duties in a non-partisan, calm, and undaunted way. The Bundestag also chose those who would hold the title of Vice President of the Bundestag. Candidates from the CSU, SPD, the Left, and the Green parties were all granted the title. The member of the far-right AFD party who was nominated for the role was rejected by the rest of the parliament, despite AFD being the largest opposition party in the Bundestag.
Despite the arrests of over 1,400 protesters, journalists and lawyers, thousands of people in Turkey have turned out last night for the 7th consecutive night of demonstrations. These took place even after Istanbul authorities banned mass gatherings and closed roads to, quote, maintain public order.
Responding to another night of protests, police in Ankara and Istanbul used water cannons and rubber bullets to disperse the crowds. The nightly demonstrations began last Wednesday when Istanbul mayor and main rival of Turkish President Erdogan, Ekrem İmamoğlu, was arrested on corruption charges. İmamoğlu was one of over 100 people detained last week as part of the investigation. Others swept up in the arrests included politicians, journalists and entrepreneurs, as well as a photographer for the French AFP news agency.
Police have detained the governor of Gagauzia, an autonomous territorial unit in Moldova, which is home to a Turkic-speaking, mostly pro-Russian minority. Evgenia Gutul was arrested at Chisinau International Airport in connection with the unexplained disappearance of 2 pro-Russian lawmakers accused of corruption. Last week, MP Alexander Nesterovsky went missing after he was handed down a 12-year sentence on corruption charges, whereas fellow MP Irina Lozovan vanished before a verdict in her case. A fierce critic of Chisinau's pro-EU government, Gutul is subject to an ongoing investigation into Russia's interference in Moldova. She has often taken swipes at the current Moldovan government and made frequent visits to Moscow, where she met with Russian President Vladimir Putin.